When changing husbands is as easy as changing your socks, how do you find the love of your life? Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is Spineless Books, your one-stop spoiler-free shop for all things audiobook. The Husbands by Holly Gramazio was recommended to me by a colleague who said it was cute and she enjoyed it. I would actually give this book a lot more credit than that. This debut novel follows Lauren, who comes home from a night out to find that her husband is not the man she recognizes. In spite of that, however, there is evidence all around their home that the man who is in her house, who she has literally never seen before, is in fact her husband. There are wedding photos, there are pictures all over the place, he's in her phone as hubby, and when she reaches out to some friends to say, hey, what does this guy I'm married to look like? Obviously they all think she's nuts, but they confirm he is in fact her husband. Not long into their relationship, the man goes up into the attic to change a light bulb, and what Lauren is shocked to discover is that a different man comes down the stairs. So not only does the attic change the husband that Lauren is married to, but she quickly learns that those around her are affected as well. For example, with some husbands, her sister has never had children, and the niece and nephew that she adores don't exist. So things are definitely weird in Lauren's life, as you can imagine. Now, I must interrupt myself and tell you that I am impatient when it comes to books. And here's what I mean by that. I am not a fan of books that are repetitive and go over and over the same situation with a couple of variables until they get to a point. Now, I know this is controversial because a lot of people love these books, but books like The Midnight Library and The Secret Life of Addie LaRue, to me, there's not enough change over the course of that story. It's everything is doing this. Oh, look, a change, and then it ends. And I don't like that. I get bored, I get impatient, and I just want to solve the problem. I was worried that this book, The Husbands by Holly Gramazio, was going to experience the same pattern, and I'm pleased to say it didn't. Those books turned me off so aggressively, and this book fortunately did not fall into that trap. I'm really pleased to say it was not repetitive, and it was not boring. The outlandish decisions that Lauren makes time and time again really escalate the situation and make this book grow in conflict. As opposed to something that feels like a level repetition, this one really crescendoed, and I enjoyed where it went very much. At a certain point, the book twisted and everything changed and things got really different. And I personally think that the genius of Lauren Gramazio's timing is really evident here. This book could have easily turned into I'm going to try this variable and then I'm going to try this variable. And we as the listener just listen and wait. But it wasn't that at all. In fact, it got really exciting and I got worried for our main character, Lauren, because things were a little bit nuts. The protagonist was settling into a little bit of a pattern in this book, but then something happens that forces her to change her pattern. And I love that moment in the book. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, just know there's something coming that really throws a wrench in Lauren's plans, or maybe lack thereof. The book felt light, funny, and not overly philosophical. The premise was so ridiculously far-fetched, yet there were elements in it that were totally relatable. And I think Holly Gramazio did a really fabulous job of giving us a story that feels like something we may think we've heard before, but changing it up completely, really, and making it her own. Now, as Lauren's husbands change, there are other characters that remain consistent in the story. For example, her sister and a neighbor. And I think even though each one of them lives a different iteration of their own lives within the story, the author did a great job of keeping them clear and giving them just enough distinction. For example, the neighbor, it was a location, and the sister obviously is a close familial relationship. So some of the characteristics that they had to maintain even through these iterations were so good and so strong that I never got confused. Nobody's name ever changed. I mean, granted, the husbands changed, but the solid players in Lauren's life stayed consistent in a way that was very helpful as a listener in distinguishing who was who and why they were important. This charming story was narrated by Miranda Raisin, who I think did an excellent job with it. She's not really a narrator who exaggerates character voices. She just sort of goes for it, but it's not over the top. One of the things I really appreciated in this story was her pacing. I know that audiobook narrators often speak a little bit slower than they maybe would if they were just reading aloud, and that's to allow people who don't process auditorily as fast to follow along. I mean, we all know we can speed the book up, so if it's too slow for you, go right ahead. But I felt like Miranda Raisin did something in her pacing that was really special. She didn't read overtly slowly, but she did a great job of moving the book along. She just had great timing with all of the conversations and with the narration itself, and I think that really helped it feel like the book was moving. It never dragged for me, and part of that was very much the way she narrated the story. In spite of the name, this book reminded me just the tiniest bit of The Wedding People. I feel like it's not so much the story, but that idea of there's a relationship and you're not really sure how to rectify this relationship, so you do all these really maybe weird things. And yes, this plot is far-fetched and it is outlandish, but I think if you like The Wedding People, you'd probably like this book. I actually read them close in time, and I don't have any trouble distinguishing which was which because the plots were very distinct in spite of matrimony as a topic. This book was light, fun, and just easy to get into. I think if you're looking for a read that isn't too heavy and will just sort of make you laugh, this is a great one. It was a 4-star read for me in spite of my colleagues simply calling it cute. I thought it had a little bit more to offer than just so cute. I would recommend it for anyone looking for something lighthearted or just plain amusing. But remember, you might love what I hate and hate what I love, so make your own opinion. But thanks for listening to mine. See you next time.